Powell developed the structural functional approach to the study of to the study to the to study political system in a competitive way. The structural function which function specific necessary for the survival of the system. Necessary for the survival of the system. Necessary for the survival of the system. According to them, a political system has a certain structure. Every political system has a certain structure which constitution which performs a specific function which perform specific feature necessary for the survival of the system. Garvey, Alban, and Benningham Powell developed a developed a developed a developed a developed a political developed a political developed a political behavior approach, developed a political behavior, developed a political behavior, developed a developed a structural functional approach to study the to study in comparative way, study political system to study political system in a study political system in a comparative way. According to him, according to him, political system is every political system has a has has a has a has a function has a structural institution which perform specific function for necessary for the survival of the necessary for the survival of the system. I thought you I thought you thanks. Thank you. Garvin, Alvin, and Powell believe Garvin, Alvin, Garvin, Alvin, and Bingham Powell, Bingham Powell developed a developed a developed a political system, developed a structural approach to study political system in a comparative way. According to him, political system, according to him, according to him, according to him, political system, according to political system, according to political system, according to political system, according to every political system has a every political system has a has a has a structure institution that is necessary for the structure is necessary for the survival of the survival of the political constitution political survival of the survival of the political constitution necessary for the survival of the necessary of the survival of the system which performs scientific which performs specific which perform specific certain structure. Every political system has a certain structure which perform scientific which perform specific function necessary for the survival of the system. Garvey and Powell, Bingham, Garvey Alman and Bingham Powell, Powell built a developed a structural functional approach to the study of political system in a comparative way. According to him, every political every political every political function every political system has a structure institution which perform which specific function which specific function in functions necessary for the survival of the system necessary for the survival of the system. Structure include institutions like legislature, executive, judiciary, political parties, and pressure group. Structures believe structures believe structures include structures includes like legislative, executive, political parties, pressure group. This structure perform functions such as interest articulation, interest aggregation, political communication, rule making, rule application, and rule education, rule education, rule education. Structure, the structural function, the structural function, the structural function. Structural includes structures include structures include structures include includes institution like structures include institutions like legislature, executive, judiciary, political parties, pressure group who these structures perform perform functions such as this structure performs such this structure performs such this structure performs such as 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 such as such as such as interesting aggregation interest articulation interest aggregation in rule making political communication rule making rule objection rule application and rule ed, edu, adjudication rule rule adjudication. Structures include institutions like legislature. Structures include structures include structures include educations like structures include structures include institutions like legislature, executive, judiciary, political parties, pressure group. These structural functions such as interest interest application interest application interest you scare me? Are you scared? Why? I am listening. No, bro, no, bro. Institution, structures includes structures includes structures includes as a necessary for the legislature. Legislature includes institutions like legislature. More, Armand and Powell argue that while structures may differ from country, uh, Armand and Powell, Armand and Powell, Armand and Powell, Armand and Powell argue that structures are may argue that while the Alman and Powell argue that structures structures while differ from country to country, functions are common to all political systems, but functions are common to all but functions are common to all but functions are common to all political systems. But functions are common to all political systems. This approach help in comparing both developed and developing countries. This approach help comparing both this 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 structure this this approach help in both developed and underdeveloped countries, developed and developing countries. This approach help in both developed and developing countries, developing political countries. Develop comparing both these approaches help in com- comparing comparing both comparing both comparing both developed and developing political system. Those these the, the structural functional approach provide a scientific and comprehensive framework for computing. Structural functional approach use a scientific and comprehensive for the competitive bodies. Comprehensive for the comprehensive for comprehensive for the comprehensive for the comprehensive for the functional approach. Comprehensive for the functional approach. The structural functional approach provides a structural functional approach provide a scientific and comprehensive comprehensive framework for a political system. For comparative politics, for comparative politics. Explain Alman and Power structural functional approach. A structural and functional approach. Uh, Al- Alman Powell, Gabriel Alman, Gabriel Alman or Bingham Powell developed a developed a structural functional approach. Developed a structural functional approach to the study of political system in a comparative way. Comparative way. Comparative way. Comparative way. According to him, every political system has a structure slash institution structures which perform certain functions necessary for the necessary for the survival of the survival of the institution, necessary for the survival of the system. Structures include institutions like structures include structures include structures include like structure includes structure includes systems like structures includes institutions like legislature, and political parties. Political, these these institutions functions such as interest aggregation, interest aggregation, interest aggregation, interest aggregation, aggregation, political communication, rule making, rule rule application, and rule aggregation, adjudication, rule adjudication. Structures include institutions like structures include institutions like legislative institutions like Arman and Powell argue that Powell argue that Arman and Powell argue that Arman and Powell Arman and Powell argue that while structures may differ from country to country, Arman and Powell Arman and Powell argue that structures are differ argue that while structures are differ from country to country, functions are common. Functions are common. Functions are common. Functions are common. Functions functions are common to functions are common to all political systems. Functions are common to all political systems. Functions are common to all political functions are common to all political functions are common to all political system. Functions are common to all political political system. But this the, this includes this approach includes this approach helps in both 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 develop and developing develop political parties political system. This approach has been comparing both develop and developing political system. Political system through this political system through this political system through this political system functional approach provide a scientific tools this tools this political system provide a tools this political system provide a tools this political system provide a tools social functional approach provide a scientific and comprehensive comprehensive framework for competitive politics comprehensive framework for competitive politics structural function बात का है explain Arwen and power structure for example Garvey Arwen and Bingham power Bingham power is the Bingham power the main concept the Bingham power 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 functional approach and Bingham power Garvey Arwen and Bingham power developed a political developed a social functional approach to the study of political system in a competitive way. According to every political system has a structure institution structures while a certain function for necessary for a certain while a certain function necessary for a survival of the survival for a political system survival for a necessary for the survival of the political system institutions including institutions like includes in this includes institutions like legislature, executive, judiciary, political parties, and pressure groups. This pressures group, pressure group. This institution uh, functions such as interest interest aggregation, political communication, rule making, application, rule education. Armin and Powell argue that political system differ argue that while argue that while political approach differ from country to country, but functions are common to all political system to all over political system all over government system all over political system all over political system all over political system all over political system. So this this approach includes both this 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 approach this approach compare both developing and developed and developing countries developing developing competitive products developing competitive products developing competitive products developing competitive products उसके बाद choose structural function approach choose structural function approach choose structural function choose and choose structural function approach choose structural function approach are approach choose some structural function approach provide a choose some choose structural structural function approach provide a choose structural function approach provide a provide a structural provide a scientific and comprehensive framework for comprehensive system for a comprehensive comparative products. 7 number. Explain the dependency theory. Explain the dependency theory. Explain the dependency theory. Dependency theory the problem of explains the problem of underdevelopment in third world country. Dependency theory explains the underdevelopment in the third world country. It was mainly developed by Andre Gordon from according to this theory, underdevelopment is not natural condition but the result of historical exploitation by developed countries. Developed countries. Developed countries. Developed countries. Dependencies theory explain dependency theory. Dependency theory explain the articulation. Dependency theory explain the dependency theory explain the dependency theory explain the articulation. Dependency theory explain the articulation of the form. Dependency theory explain the dependency theory. Dependency theory is the dependency theory explain the problem. This dependency theory explain the problem of the underdevelopment in third world in third in the development in the third world country in third world in third world country. It was mainly developed by Andrew Gordon according to him, underdevelopment is not a natural thing, not a natural, not a natural, but a but the result of historical exploitation by the developing countries by developing countries. But exploitation by the developing countries. Dependency to explain the dependency to explain dependency to explain the political system. Dependency theory the problem of developed country. The theory explain the dependency to explain the problem the problem of the underdeveloped countries in third world countries in third world countries. Mm, he it was mainly it was mainly it was mainly it was mainly developed by the Andrew Gordon Frank. It was mainly developed by Andrew Gordon Frank, according to him, according to him, according to him, according to him, underdevelopment and according to him, underdevelopment is not a natural condition. It was is a exploitation. It was a historical exploitation by the developed countries by developed countries. France argue that the world is divided into the Frank argue that the Frank argue that world is divided into two. Frank argue that world is divided into two parts. Frank argue that Frank argue that Frank argue that world is divided into two parts. Frank argue that the world is divided into core and core development or and underdevelopment countries. Frank argued that the world is divided into core and development or periphery, the underdevelopment countries. The core countries exploit exploit the periphery by taking the core countries exploit underdevelopment countries by 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 taking raw material in cheaply and selling fresh good and selling finished and selling finished and selling finished selling and selling finished selling finished goods at high prices and selling finished selling finished finished good in high prices and selling finished in high price selling finished and selling finished and selling finished goods at high price. This creates a relationship of dependency theory. This creates a relationship of dependency where poor countries only economically this finished good work in high price. This creates a relationship of dependency. This creates a relationship. This creates a relationship of dependency where poor countries remain economically and politically dependent on these countries. Where poor countries remain economically and politically dependent on this country. Where poor countries, where poor countries, where poor countries, when poor countries, when poor countries remain economically and politically depend on this country. Where poor countries remain, where poor countries remain, where poor countries remain economically and politically depend on this country. Where poor country remain where poor countries remain economically and politically depend on this country. Where poor countries remain economically and politically depend on this country. Politically depend on these countries. As a result, developed in coal countries. As a result, development in coal countries leads to underdevelopment in peripheral countries. Thus, this dependency theory, citizens capitalist global system. This dependency theory, city, this dependency, this dependency theory criticized capitalist global system. This dependency theory criticized, criticized capitalist global system and explain inequality between nations and explain inequality between 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 and explain inequality and explain inequality between and explain inequality between comparative politics dependency theory. explain the dependency theory is the explain dependency explain the explain the underdevelopment explain the dependency explain the problem of the underdeveloped countries in the third world in third world countries in third world country third world country it was mainly developed by Andrew Gardner Frank according to him underdevelopment is not according to him underdevelopment is not a natural condition. It was it but it was it was a historical exploitation by developed countries developed countries natural exploitation by developed countries developed countries. So according to Frank argued that the world is divided into two parts. Frank argued that the world is divided into two parts. Two parts. The world is divided into two parts. The developed and peripheral underdeveloped. Peripheral underdeveloped countries. The core countries exploit the core country exploit the preferably by buying by taking raw material and cheaply and finished and selling finished goods high price and finished goods selling finished goods at high price. This creates a relationship between this creates a relationship this creates a relationship of dependency. 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 As a result, this creates a depend. This create a this create this create a relationship. This create a relationship of dependency. Relationship of dependence. Where poor countries remain where poor countries remain economically and politically depend on rich countries. This country as a result as a result as a result development in core countries leads to underdevelopment in peripheral countries. Leads to peripheral countries leads to peripheral countries leads to peripheral countries leads to development in core countries is the development in the core countries leads to leads to leads to development in core countries leads to underdevelopment in peripheral peripheral countries leads to peripheral countries. This dependency theory citizen 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 capacity global system and explain equality between nations. This dependency theory, this dependency theory is criticized this dependency theory criticized capitalist global system. This dependency theory, this dependency theory criticized capitalist global system and and explain inequality between nations and explain inequality and explain inequality between and explain explain inequality between and 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 explain inequality between the inequality between and explain inequality between and developed poverty criticize Corona system and explain inequality between nation explain inequality between nation. Political system explain the decay of political system explain the decay explain the dependency theory of explain the dependency theory of political system explain the dependency theory political system explain the dependency theory political explain the dependency theory explain the idea explain the problem of the underdeveloped countries in third world countries in third world countries in third world countries third world countries in third world countries every third world countries third world countries it was mainly developed by Andrew Gordon Frank it was mainly this was mainly developed by Andrew Gordon Frank the underdevelopment is not a natural condition it was a it was but it was exploitation it was exploitation it was exploitation it was exploitation by story historically Latini ora and the dependency theory explain the dependency theory explain the dependency theory basically explain the problem dependency theory explain the problem of the dependency theory explain the problem of the underdevelopment it was mainly in third world countries it was mainly developed by Gordon Frank Gordon Frank according to him according to him the underdevelopment is not a natural condition. It was mainly result. It was, but it was result of historical exploitation by the developed countries. Developed countries. Garden Frank argue that world is divided into core developed and peripheral underdeveloped countries. The core countries exploit by exploit peripheral countries by by selling by selling by buying 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 by, by, retailers in cheaply and selling finished goods in high price in high price high price. This make a relationship of dependency relationship of dependency. This creates a relationship of dependency where poor countries where poor countries where poor countries remain where poor countries remain remain economically and politically depend on rich countries politically depend on rich countries depend on rich depend on depend on rich countries. As a result, as a result, as a result, development, as a result, as a result, development core countries, as a result, development in core, as a result, development in core, as a result, development in core countries, countries leads underdevelopment in peripheral countries. Whose dependency theory criticized capitalist global system and exploit and explain equality between nation and explain inequality between nation. Explain the concept of political culture. Explain the explain the concept of political culture. Political culture refers to explain the concept of political culture. Explain the concept of political culture. Political culture refers to belief, values, attitude, and orientation of people towards the political system. The concept was developed by Garville Arman. The concept was developed by Garville Arman and Sydney Verba. The political culture, the political culture explain how citizens view authority. Political culture explain how citizens view authority, government, and their role in political culture explain how citizens view authority, government, and their role in politics. Almond and Verba, Almond and Verba identified three types of political culture: pa- approachable, parochial subject, and participant. Parochial, parochial and participant. Parochial and participant. Parochial, parochial subject and participant. A healthy democracy usually has a participant political culture. A healthy dependency, a healthy democracy usually a participant political culture. Participate political culture where people actively take part in political party where people take parts where people where people actively take parts in political we take where people take parts in political activity where people actively take parts in political activity where people actively take parts in political activity. Political culture increased in stability functions and development of political system. Political culture influenced political culture influenced the stability functions and development of political system. Political culture includes stability functioning and development of political system and development of political system. Political culture influence the stability. The political culture influence the stability. Stability. Political culture depend. Political culture influence the stability. Political culture in political culture influence the political culture influence the stability. Political culture political culture influence the stability, functioning, and development of political system. It helps it helps explain why similar political institutions work differently in different countries. It helps explain why it helps why it helps explain why similar countries institutions work differently in different countries. This institution this institution explain this institution explain the cultural political cultural influence system help explain why similar political this is why similar political institutions work differently in different countries. It helps explain why political why s- it helps why- it helps explain it helps explain why similar it helps explain why similar political institution work in work differently in different countries work differently in different countries. Next, explain the concept of political socialization. Explain explain the concept of political culture. Political culture refers to the development refers to the belief. Uh, Political culture refers to the values. Political culture refers to the belief, values, and attitude and orientation of people towards the political system. Political culture means political culture political culture means political culture means political culture refers to the 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 belief political culture refers to the belief values and and political culture refers to the belief values attitude and orientation of people towards the political system towards the political system towards the political system of people towards the political system orientation of people towards the political system. Political culture refers to the belief values beliefs values belief values belief values or belief values belief belief values belief values belief values and political culture refers to the belief values attitude and orientation of people towards the political system towards political system. The concept was developed by the concept was developed by Garvey Arman and Sydney Weber Sydney Verba Sydney Verba Sydney Verba Sydney Verba Sydney Verba ठीक है the Sydney Verba the Sydney Verba Sydney Verba. The political culture refers to the political culture refers to the values, gratitude, and orientation toward people. The concept was developed by the Garvey Almond and Sydney Weber, Sydney Verba, Sydney Verba, Sydney Verba, Sydney Verba, Sydney Verba, Sydney Verba. Political culture refers to the belief, values, attitude, and orientation of people towards the political system. The concept was developed by Garvey Almond and Sydney Verba. The concept was developed by Sydney Verba and Almond. So political culture, the political explain how the political explain how the political culture explain how political culture explain how citizen view authority, government, and their role in politics. Political culture explain the political culture explain how political culture explain how citizen view authority, government, and city government and their role in their role in their role in their role 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 in their role in their role in political system their role in their role in political system their role in political system their role in political system. याद हो रहा नहीं. Albert and Weber identified three types of political culture. Garvey and Almond, Garvey or Almond, Garvey Almond identifies three types of three types of three types of three types of Almond, Garvey Almond, Garvey and Almond identify three types of political culture. Prochial, prochial subject, prochial subject and participant. The healthy democracy usually has a participant political culture where people actively take part in political activities. Political culture explains how how decision view authority, how citizen view authority, government, uh, and their role in their role in politics. Alvin well explain three types. Identify Alvin identify three types of three type of political, three part of three type of political culture. Three type of parochial and parochial subject and participant. A healthy democracy, a healthy usually has a participation political culture. Participation political culture where people actively where people actively participate where people actively participate where pa- where people actively participate where people actively participate where people actively take part where people actively take part in political activity 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 where people take part in actively in political activity where people take part in activity take part in take part in a political activity. Mm. When people actively take part in political activities, political influence the stability. Political the political the political the political culture influence the political culture influence the stability functioning and the develop the develop the political system. The stability functions the stability the political culture influence the stability. The political culture influence the political culture influence the political culture influence the political culture influence the stability functioning and developed the political culture developed the political culture influence the political culture developed the influence the political culture influence the stability functioning and development of political system. The political culture influence the stability functioning and development in development of political system. Development of political system. It helps explain why it helps why it helps it helps it helps it helps why political it helps it helps why it helps it helps why political explain why political why it helps explain it helps explain why it help explain why political institutions work differently in different countries. Why 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 similar political institutions work differently in other countries. Explain the concept of political explain the concept of political culture. Political culture refers to the political culture refers to development refers to belief, values, and attitude orientation of orientation towards people in political system. Towards the political system. The concept was developed by Gabriel Alvin and Sidney Weber. The concept was developed by Weber according to political culture explain the political culture explain how people political culture explain how people culture explain political culture political culture explain how people political culture explain how political culture explain how people how citizen political culture explain how political culture explain how citizens view authority government and citizens of citizens and their role in political and their role in political parties their role in politics. Alvin and Alvin and Weber Weber Gardner and Weber identify three types of political system, three types of political culture. Sydney Alvin and Sydney Weber identify three types of three types of three types of political culture. Political culture is a approachable subject and participation culture approach and participant as healthy a healthy democracy usually a healthy democracy usually was a healthy democracy was a healthy democracy was a healthy democracy was a healthy democracy was A healthy democracy, a healthy democracy usually in a participant cult, participant political culture, participant political culture. It believes participant political culture. Participant political culture is believes participant political culture where people actively take part in political activity. Where people actively take part in political activity. Where people usually take part in political activity. Where people usually take part in where we where people actively take part in political activity. A healthy democracy usually a participant usually a healthy world a healthy democracy usually has a participant political activity. A healthy democracy usually a participant political activity. A healthy democracy usually a participant political culture. A healthy democracy usually has a participant political activity. A healthy democracy usually has a healthy participant political activity, participant political culture, where people actively take part in political activities, actively take part in political activities. Political influence the stability, functioning, and and development in the political system. In the political system, it help people. It helps it helps people. It help explain why. It help explain why people. It help explain why similar countries, similar why similar political why similar political institutions work differently in different countries. Explain the concept of political socialization. Explain the concept of political socialization. The socialization, political socialization is the process by which individual acquires political values, beliefs, attitude, and behavior. It explains how people learn about politics and develop their political culture over time. Over time, over time. Explain the concept of political socialization. Political socialization is the process of by the political process, a political, a political, a political socialization is the concept of the political socialization is the process. Political socialization is the process by political socialization is the process process by which individual acquires values acquires political values process by which which individual acquires acquires political values beliefs and over time attitude and behavior. It explains how people learn about politics and development. It explains how it explains how people learn about politics and develop their political culture over time. And develop of their political culture over time. And explains their over time. Political socialization is the process by political socialization is the process by which political socialization is the process by which the political socialization is the process by which government political socialization is the process by which by which po- which individual uh, acquire 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 political values beliefs attitude and behavior explain how explain how people explain how people learn about politics and develop their 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 political culture over time and develop their political culture over time and develop their political culture over time and develop their political culture over time. Explain the concept of political socialization. Explain the concept of political socialization. Political socialization is the process of the process of the process of which individual the process of which individual acquire 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 beliefs acquire values attitude and behavior. It was he was learned about it explain how people 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 learn about it explain how it explain how people learn about it explain it, it explain how people learn about politics and develop their political culture over time. It explain how people learn about politics and develop their political culture over time. It explain how people learn about politics and develop their political culture over time and develop their political culture over time. It explain how people learn about it explain how people learn about politics and develop their political culture over time. Develop their political culture over time. The main agent of political socialization are family. The main agent of political socialization are family, school, playgroup, media, political parties, and regional religion. These through these agents, individuals learn ideas about authority, rights, duty, and participation. Political socialization helps in the countries in the continuity by stability and of the political system by transmitting political culture of transmitting political culture from the generation of other generation of other. At the same time, it can also bring change by introducing new ideas and values. Through political socialization play a crucial role in shaping citizen political awareness and participation. Through this political socialization, this political society play a crucial role in shaping citizens political awareness and political participation. Political participation. Political socialization is the process by which individual acquires beliefs, believes attitude behavior believes attitude behavior. It explain how it explain how people it explain it explain how people explain it explain how people 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 learn it explain how people learn about political how explain how people learn about politics and politics and development developed the and developed the political culture over time. Political values acquire political values acquire political values beliefs and attitude and behavior political socialization in pressure group by which individuals acquires political values beliefs and attitude and behavior by behavior and behavior. Political socialization is a process by which individual acquires political political values. Political socialization is the process by which individual acquires political values, belief, attitude, and behavior. It explains how people learn about politics and develop their political culture over time. Develop their political culture over time. Political socialization is the process by which an individual acquires political values, belief, attitude, and behavior. It explains how people learn about politics and develop their political culture over time. Over time, political culture over time. Political socialization is the process process by which government process process by which government which license is the process by which an individual acquires political values, beliefs, and attitude. Political socialization is the process by which government process by which which individual acquire political value, behavior, attitude, and belief. These values, beliefs, attitude, attitude, and attitude behavior. Explain how people learn about explain how people learn about political political and politics and development of the political culture over time and develop their political culture over time. The main agent of the political socialization can be a school, preschool, media, political parties, and religion. Through this, through this agent individual, through this agent. मुझे भूख लगी आ गया individual learn ideas about about authority, rights, duty, and participation. ठीक है political socialization help in continuity. The political socialization help in continuity and stability of political system. The political socialization continuity and stability of political system by transmitting political culture from one generation to another by transmitting political culture to one generation to other culture from one generation to other. At, at the same time, it can also bring change by introducing new ideas and values. At the same time, it brings the new ideas and values. It can also bring change by introducing new ideas and values. Those political system, those political socialization play a crucial role. Those political socialization also bring change by introducing. So this political socialization this political system play a, this political system play a crucial role. This political socialization, this political socialization play a crucial role in shaping citizens political awareness, shaping this political socialization play a crucial role in shaping citizen awareness, shaping citizens political awareness and participation. the process of the political is the process of process of which process of process by which individual political values are articulate require political values political values beliefs attitude and beliefs behavior for of every people it explain how people develop how people how people learn how to learn about how people learn about politics and different play different play political culture over time. The main agent of the political system, the main agent of political political culture, the main agent of the main agent of political socialization, our family, so school, our family, school, preschool, our family, school, preschool, and preschool media, preschool, pre-group media, so media special bodies, media special media political parties, media political parties and media political parties and religion, media political parties and religion. Through this agent, 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 individual learn about ideas, learn individual learn through this and through this agent individual learn learn ideas about authority, rights, duties and participation, social model, political socialization help in authority, political socialization help countries help in continuity and stability of political system by by transmitting political culture, 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 continuous and stability of political system by transmitting political culture from one generation to other generation, one generation to other. At the same time it can also bring the change the change by bring the change by introducing new idea,